Hi everyone, welcome to this video about how to draw hands. In this video, I want to give a lot of tips about drawing hands because hands are really difficult to draw. And the way to learn them is to break them down so it gets easier to draw. And it's really important not to avoid drawing hands because we have to draw a lot of hands. And the more you draw hands, the easier it gets. So let's move over to my screen and let's start drawing some hands. So I first want to start with a really cartoony hand. And I like to start with drawing a ball. So let me change this setting. So it can be just something like this. And I would advise to follow along. So once you have this this ball, erase it a little bit, we can start drawing in a shape for the fingers, just like this. And then a shape for the thumb, like this here. And once we have this, we can start adding in the wrist. And after that, the fingers. And here I'm drawing a really cartoony hand, think Mickey Mouse or something, with 3 fingers. Something like this. And here a line for the palm. And once we have these lines, we could start drawing on top. So on a layer here, we can start drawing in the finger, thumb, like this. And then here, this line here. And for these cartoony hands, I always really like to keep it simple and clean. Not too many lines. Especially a lot of times we see hands not that big, and they're complicated. So there are already a lot of lines in here. You can see a small overlapping line to indicate that the bend. You can also decide to leave that out. Maybe this is a little bit too pointy. Also decide how pointy you want the corners to have. That's all about the style. But for this one, I want to go this cartoony style. So here, then drawing the lines like this. If I was inking this, I would take a little bit more time for it, but here you can see a bit how I would draw this hand. So you can also apply this for a more realistic hand. Here. And yeah, what I would advise you to do is to draw along, follow step by step, pause the video, and etc. So here we have the thumb. Then we can draw in here the hand. This goes down. So this is all looks a little bit more, already a little bit more realistically, in my opinion. And now we can add 4 fingers here. We already have the thumb. So here we can draw in the pink, in the next finger, the next finger, and then here this finger. So this approach is actually really the same as with cartoony hands, only it's all a little bit more detailed. So once I have this sketch, I erase it. And that's also why, in my opinion, it's really good to start learning to draw cartoony. At least that's how I also learned to draw. Here, I like that this is one line here, and then we have this line here. I like to use S kind of lines, meaning that the lines are a bit like this. So I have the feeling this hand is a little bit too long. Of course, when you're drawing on paper, you can't do that. And it's also a reason why it's good to draw on paper, because you can't cheat. So yeah, this here, this goes somewhere here, and then we can draw in finger here and a finger here, and then here the thumb like this. Then there's a line going like this here, a line like here, this, and yeah, you could also add the fingernails like this here. And I'm guessing a little bit of the proportions, and later I will show how I figure out those proportions. And by practicing those proportions, you get also better about with guessing about them. You can also add the fingernail there. So realistically, cartoony, I basically use the same approach. So what helps me a lot with drawing is by using construction. So when I draw hands, for example, you can use shapes like this here, and going down here, here, then here. So, and then we have this shape. So I use this as the base of the hand. And then for the fingers, I use cylinders. Now I just draw these shapes here. So, and it's also with drawing other body parts or other things, really good to use cubes, cylinders, circles to build everything. You need to watch out if things don't look like robots or something. But let's combine these shapes. So first of all, I like to use line of action, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later. But here's this line. Then I can use here shape. Then here, I follow the shape a little bit. Then I can draw in the fingers. So here, another finger, and then a finger here. So this here. And so you see, I'm using these cylinders to draw in the fingers. And it's getting a little bit stiff that way, but it also helps creating a good shape and a sense of 3D. So here the wrist, like this. And once I have these shapes, I can start sketching on top of it. Now I start making it more flowing. So here, just following on top. Here, this finger here. Maybe ask, how do you know how to use what kind of shapes and how, and the skin, etc. But that's also a little bit experience, practice. I would advise you maybe take photos of your own hands and go study those. Maybe first realistically, and then after that try to make cartoon versions of them with the techniques I'm showing here. It's all practice, trying different things out, and on one point things will start connecting and will make more sense. So here this line goes like this here, and then we have this thumb going here, then here, and yes, then we have this shape going here. So like this here. And then we have this shape here. Then we have this this hand. We can this here. So I also made videos and an ebook about drawing this and going much more in depth about it. So I advise you to check that out if you want to learn more. So I want to talk a little bit about flow in drawing hands or the gesture. So for example, if you have a line of action, and that's what I start most of the time when I'm drawing a hand or a character, I start with a line of action. And then, for example, I start drawing in the hand, and you can use shapes or maybe a shape like this. So crazy shape like this, it doesn't look like a hand, but don't worry, we can fix that. So here we are adding a thumb. And then I'm adding a finger. Because of the experience I have with drawing hands, I remember the proportions a little bit. So, and then I want to draw in here the fingers. So here, and here's the next finger. So like this. And I'm not really happy with this, but here, what I want to show is that you have this flow here. And that's really important if you're using these kinds of shapes. And getting that flow is really important for drawing hands. So yeah, maybe I can show another one. Here is, let's draw here the shape. Here this flowing line. Then here we have this hand. And here we have this pink finger like this. So it doesn't have to follow all that line. And then we have a finger going like this. See how I'm trying to go for these S shapes, these curves in these hands. So here, and then we can start drawing in this side of the hand, and then here. So this can be a bit tricky when you're starting out, but I want you to take with you those flowing lines. And check out my longer courses for more detailed stuff. But yeah, I find it really important, those flowing lines in the hand. So maybe check out photos, or when you do live drawings, check out the flow. Try to see if you can find flow in drawing hands. So let's make this one. Yeah, let's move this to the side. And what's also can help with drawing hands, especially when you are drawing perspective, is using a cube like this here this shape, to draw the hand in perspective. So this shape is basically from the top. It's something like this, where the thumb here is here, and then the fingers are there. So we have this shape here. It's a bit more like this. But the shape sounds a bit more here. And then you can draw in the fingers, also as tubes, basically. Go down here, and then here we have two fingers, and here. But here I want to focus on that you can use these as a guide to draw a hand in difficult angles, because this shape is easier to draw in different angles. So that's why I also like to draw in cubes, because cubes are easier to rotate in 3D. So let's go to a little bit of anatomy in drawing hands. So here, let's starts here. So how I learn anatomy in hands is by having a line divided in two parts. And then if you have those two parts, then you know that the lower piece is here. So this is the first half. So we can draw a ball here. We can draw two lines going a little bit outwards, just a little bit. And we can start drawing in the knuckles. So this here, 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 here. Oh, here. Maybe these are a bit too big. So like this. Let's make these a little bit less long, so it's still the middle, but less long. I think this, yeah, this works better. So we have this is half, and this part is also half, and then we have this shape here for the base of the hand. Now we can start drawing in the fingers from this point here. We can draw in lines out of this point going up. And the cool thing for fingers is once you have this point here, and then we have this point here, and you divide it by half, then you divide it again by half. Then we know here is a knuckle, and here finger part here, and then we can draw in this shape, like this here. And then we've drawn a finger like this. And what you can also do is here, an imaginary point here, and we make a bow from this point to here, and from this point through here, and a line going through here. Then we can start making those other fingers here. So this finger, here, and we can start drawing in the thumb like this. Shape here, the shape here, like this here. Then you have basically the proportions of the hand. And it's really, yeah, what I shown before is that the finger, if you have to draw the finger from the side, it's never really straight. So maybe draw it like this here. So for example, this is the finger, and then you can point here and here. If you divide this part here, and then divide this part here, and then under that, maybe also a line here, under that you make this line, flowing line. We have a finger, and if you divide this, then you know where the fingernail is. So by dividing stuff, you can really figure out a lot of the proportions. And so there are a lot of tricks that can help with drawing hands. Basically, these are the tips I use to draw all kinds of hands. My ebooks and videos, I go much more in depth about it, but all the other things I teach are basically a little bit more in depth about these things. So I hope you liked this video, and drop me a comment to ask any questions or to come up with what you want to see in next week video lesson. So thanks everyone for checking out, and if you like it, please subscribe. Bye everyone.